This is Math 1314, College Algebra. We're doing section 1.7, which is Inequality Equations. I'm David Dipple from Lone Star College, Montgomery. Inequality is any mathematical symbol. An inequality is a mathematical symbol that is used to convey the idea of size. Notation, if you see this notation here, that means less than or equal to. Graphically, for instance, the number 2 is the number we're looking at. Less than, if you go the way the arrow points, it's going to go less than. And then if you do an interval, over here on the left side is negative infinity, and it goes to 2. Since it's a closed dot, it gets a bracket. Infinity, you can't ever reach it, so it gets a parentheses. If you reach the number like 2, it gets a bracket. If you can't reach it, it gets a parentheses. Something like this means x is greater than or equal or greater than negative 3. That's all the numbers that are larger than 3, negative 3. So we put an open circle because there's no bar under it. It's not equal. We're going to the right, and that's going to be negative 3 to infinity. We do not include negative 3, and we do not include infinity. Okay, in this case, we're between 2 and 5, and we're including 5. So 5 gets a colored in dot, 2 does not, and you're going in between them. The interval would be open parentheses 2 comma 5, so you're going from 2 to 5. The 5 gets a bracket, the 2 gets a parentheses, because the 5 is equal and the 2 is not equal. And again, brackets include the value that you're dealing with, and parentheses do not. Now, if you want to solve something like 4 minus 2x is greater than 10, if you'll make sure the variable stays on the left side, so we have our x on the left side, then we move everything to the right side using the same algebraic manipulation we had before. We'll move the 4 by subtraction, and then we'll divide by negative 2. Now, when you're dividing by a negative, the inequality changes direction. And so you get x is less than or equal to 6 divided by 2 makes negative 3. And again, anytime you divide by a negative, the inequality changes directions. Intervals, if you have this, less than negative 3, so we're going from negative infinity to negative 3. Since there's an equal sign, the 3 gets a bracket. Now, if it's a double inequality, I just work on all 3 pieces. I'm going to take this 1 and move it to the left and the middle and the 10 by subtracting from all of them. So subtract 1 from the negative 2, 1 from the middle, and 1 from the 10. So it gives you negative 3, 3x in the middle, and 9. Then divide everything by 3 because you want x in the middle. And if you were dividing by a negative, again, everything would switch, and we need to put the smallest one on the left side. So we have negative 1 less than or equal to x less than 3. So negative 1 comma 3 if you go to an interval, and the 1 gets a bracket, the 3 gets a parentheses. Now we can do quadratic inequalities. And to do these, you can't just factor them and solve them because it's an inequality. So what you have to do is, in this case, multiply it all out, then factor it. X squared minus x minus 12 turns to x minus 4, x plus 3. Set both those equal to 0. So x is 4 or negative 3. And you put those on a number line. You put your answers 4 or negative 3 on a number line, but you're not done. You can't carry that less than. So you just have to put those on a number line. And since it's not equal, we circle both negative 3 and positive 4. Then we check the intervals. Put in a number smaller than negative 3 back into my original and see, does it work out to be less than 12? Okay, I'm going to try negative 3. I plugged in negative 1. Should have been in the middle. Should have been true. Okay, if I plug in 0, it's true. If I plug in a number bigger than 4, like 5, it's false. Okay, over here, negative 1 isn't past negative 3. You have to pick like negative 4. So I picked a negative 1 that doesn't work. Okay, that negative 1 is here in the middle. I should have picked like negative 4. And negative 4 times negative 5 would be false. So this should not be shaded. So all that should be shaded should be the true part in the middle. This should not be shaded over here.